Hey guys, it's Jamie bringing you a special episode of Recovery Inspired Hope. And we are here at Jay's place in Gainesville, and we're here with Jordan Hussey. Everybody knows Jordan from Georgia Council. You used to work in the emergency department or the NICU?
The NICU, yeah.
Awesome, yes. So Jordan's going to tell us a little bit about her story, and she's also going to tell us a little bit about this amazing place out here.
Well, thanks for having me, Jamie. It's a real pleasure.
So, Jordan, tell us a little bit about, first of all, okay, how long have you been sober for?
March will be 5 years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, what was your pathway to come into recovery?
I started out by going to AA meetings because that was really what was available in the community that I was in. And since then, I've branched out and now I do AA and NA.
Awesome. So what happened that you made this decision that you wanted to come into recovery?
Well, I was actually in prison, and my first husband of 10 years passed away in a car accident due to his own substance use. And I was at his funeral when I just was looking at my daughter, who was sitting pews above me, and I had shackles on and armed guards. And
oh my goodness.
I remember thinking, I did every bit of this to myself, but she didn't ask for this. She didn't deserve this. This was not something she chose. And I decided then that I would not allow another person to be taken from her in that way. And if I could help it, I was going to be the one that changed it.
Wow. So you got out of prison? Did you go into like treatment or?
No, I floundered for a while. That was my light bulb moment, but I still had some challenges. I started going to meetings, but I refused to get a sponsor, so I wasn't fully committed to the 12 steps yet. Mm-hmm. I didn't work the steps, and I had about 10 months, and I used again, and I instantly wanted to die, and I was like, okay, that was my full surrender. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know what's right for me. And so after that, I got a sponsor. I fully committed to doing step work. Mm-hmm. And that was what changed for me. It was after that, I was willing to do whatever it took to get and stay well.
And so just what was the, like in the steps, what do you think is the most like life-changing step that you did?
I think, probably step 4.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is a searching and fearless moral inventory for those who don't know.
Sorry. So and I think the reason was in my mind, my justification for not working the steps was that I knew exactly why I did what I did. Mm-hmm. And I held all those things in instead of being willing to be completely transparent and vulnerable with someone else. And so I won't say that I had this like God moment when I worked that step or any of the steps. I think what happened was I was willing to do what was asked of me. And in that moment, sharing my vulnerability, sharing my fears, sharing my trauma with someone else that related made all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. For me, mine was the amends, the 8th and 9th step. And I remember on the list, they tell us to make a list of amends of people you want to make amends to. But then you have to put them in categories of like willing, not able. Yeah. And there was a couple that I was like, I am not making amends to this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I remember when I did. Wow. I felt like it was like spiritual victories in heaven, like they were having a party up there or something, like a huge celebration. So that for me was my like most life-changing steps, and still I feel like I'm still blessed today because of doing that work, from being willing to do what I didn't want to do, but I knew that I trusted my, my sponsor, my mentor. And she said, if you want to stay sober, you have to do this. And I wanted to stay sober more than anything.
Yeah.
So how did you get on the amazing road with Georgia Council and CARES and all of that?
Well, I started working in the field at a treatment center in Walton County called Twin Lakes Recovery Center. And it's kind of a long story, but the gentleman that was interviewing me was also a person in recovery, and he came in, and I was following the suggestion of a sponsor by going to this job interview, 6 months in recovery. And he said, "Tell me about yourself." And I said, "Well, I'm a convicted felon." And he was like, "Okay."
First thing you want to say on a job interview,
I'm going to shine. So he said, "I noticed you led with that. Why?" And I said, "Because I don't want to waste your time."
Right.
And I don't want you to waste mine either. And he said, "Is it drug charges?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I think you'll be okay." And so I actually was arguing with my higher power in the parking lot prior to that interview, saying, "We both know this is a waste of time, but I'm going to do it because I was told to do it."
Right.
And I came out with 2 different job offers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I started as housekeeper, filling in for someone who was on maternity leave, and I started leading groups on the weekends. And I worked my way up. I worked there about 2.5 years. And I worked my way up to a job offer that was supervisor over all of the techs. And at the same time, I had just gone through CARES.
Mm-hmm. And what CARES are you?
I am CARES 41.
Okay.
Whoop, whoop. No, CARES 31. Oh my God.
You're CARES 31.
Yeah.
CARES 31.
31.
Don't be mad at her, you guys. Don't be mad at her.
It's a lot of pressure right now. So, yeah, so when I went through CARES, I actually got a job offer to work in the NICU, and it was this pilot program, and it was the first in the state, and I was thrilled to do it. And I wanted to be able to utilize the tools that I'd been given through CARES and my lived experience. So I took the job, and I worked there. I loved it.
What was it like? I wanted to work there too.
It was amazing. The first week on the job, they were like, "The senator will be here Friday. We'll be taking photos." Wow. And I was like, "I need to buy a blazer." Like, how do you even dress for this?
Right.
So, helping moms navigate their DFACS cases, believing in them when they didn't believe in themselves, and removing the shame and stigma that comes with using while you're pregnant. I mean, we don't need any help shaming ourselves. Yeah. We got that covered. And
absolutely. And did you get to play with the babies?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's a cuddle training. Like, you are trained, you're paid to learn how to cuddle babies in the NICU. Goodness. It's awesome.
That's a dream job right there. And I just thank you so much for your service in that. And that means so much to me specifically, because when I had my daughter in 2010, I was addicted to opiates. And there were no peer coaches, no NICU, there was no NICU program, nothing. It was just, the angry glare of the nurses looking at you. And I was too ashamed to even go, to spend time with my daughter in there, because I just wanted to die, because I couldn't, I felt so terrible. She was in the NICU for 6 weeks. And there was no support. There was nobody to talk to me, to encourage me. They were just like, "Oh, she's a drug addict."
Yeah.
And it was terrible. So I am so grateful for that program and for the people who are of service to it. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a great experience. I personally didn't have personal experience with DFACS or with being pregnant while under the influence, but I know what it's like to be a mom. And I know what it's like to feel like you've let your child down and that you haven't protected them in the most basic way, and then to lose all faith in yourself.
Yes.
And I think you have to tap into that a little bit, in that job. And like we do in peer support in general, we tap into, how do I relate to this? Right. And it made it easy to say, I'm going to walk alongside you. Like, you're not doing this by yourself. And this is going to be hard. Like, you're going to have a lot of hoops to jump through for DFACS and in order to prove yourself with them. But, we're going to do this together, and I'll help you.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so grateful for you and for the other people who are in that position to help and to walk alongside. So then how did you get to this place. Now tell us you are the, what's your title?
So I am the executive director here at Jay's Place Recovery Center. And, I was leaving the NICU, and I actually was in line to go work for DBHDD. And then there became this hiring freeze. So my final day of working in the NICU, I got a call that night saying, we don't know what to do. So I was in line to work for the state. I was going to work for DBHDD. And my final day in the NICU, I'd worked out my notice, and I get a call that night saying, hey, there's a hiring freeze, and we don't know, what's going to happen from here. So all of a sudden I'm unemployed.
Wow.
Yeah, and
which you at the time thought was a terrible thing, right?
Yeah,
I was seeing the bigger plan.
Really questioning all of God's plans for me at that point. I was like, really? So, and God bless Neil at the council, and Jay Hughes, who heads up CARES and all the trainings. Because when I worked in the NICU and I worked for the council, I also was on the CARES scoring team. So I scored CARES applications, I sat in on interviews, I helped with all of that. And so right after that, CARES came in and they were applying, and he called me and he said, hey, can you come? And so I got to work as a contractor for them, and I was able to make ends meet as a result of that. It was really everything worked out. And so I get a call one day from Nick Estabrook, who is formerly with the DBHCD, and he said, we know what happened, and we're really sorry. It's kind of messed up that it is what it is. And he said, but have you considered going over there and applying at Jay's Place? And I said, I don't think that's a thing anymore, right? Like, I'm pretty sure somebody got that job. And he said, they're expecting your resume. And so I sat across from the same man that gave me my first job 6 months into recovery. And he said, why do you want to do this? And I said, do you remember the first time I met you? And he said, yeah. And so I explained to the other board member that was sitting with us the story in the background. And I said, and what you don't know is that I was telling God in the parking lot that it was a waste of time.
Wow.
And I said, but you believed in me. And I would have never worked in this field had you have not believed in me. And so I want to do that for other people.
Wow.
And so, it worked out the way I think it was supposed to. And I didn't know how to run an RCO. I didn't know what this would even look like. But I love it. I kind of can't believe I get paid to do this for a living.
Yeah. And so tell us about some of the cool stuff that you do here.
So, obviously we have all recovery meetings, AA meetings, NA meetings. We have a lot of partnerships in the community. We are a huge supporter of the veteran recovery community. And so we partner with them as well a lot. We do food donations for families in need. At Christmas time, we did adopt a child. So our peers who couldn't provide Christmas presents for their kids were able to have Christmas there, and we had it packed and ready to go. They got to wrap it in their own wrapping paper. Wow. So yeah.
Awesome.
We did our first annual Hall Recovers back in August 31st, and we partnered with several people in the community to make that a huge event. We had Judge Deal as a speaker. We had people who had survived overdoses and are now in recovery. We had
I love that.
family members that had lost, and then our very own Will Allison's father spoke about losing his brother and then having a son that is in recovery from the same substance use. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, and the entire community came out to participate in that, and it was awesome. In fact, the chief of police here said, had I known what it was going to be, all of our police officers would have been here.
Wow.
So we're going to do that again next in August.
Amazing. You have all the support, to have the support of the judges, to have the support of the police. And that is what is so powerful in this recovery movement here with the RCOs, with Georgia Council, with the community, is that we are all standing united,
Yes.
Where before I feel like it was kind of like, like cops against robbers almost, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And like now it's like we're like all united on this front for this big movement to just stomp out, this whole epidemic and show people that recovery is real, that recovery is possible.
Yes.
And we just thank you so much for being such a shining light in our community.
Yeah.
And for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do it.
Yeah, and for running this amazing RCO. And we're so excited, and we're about to have your colleague here give us a little testimony of it too, of why peer support is so important and how it is so impactful in the lives of others. So,
well, Jamie, thank you for having me.
Bye.